Hey guys, it's Leo, and in this video, I am going to give my impressions on episode 1 of Shoujo Kageki Revue Starlight. Let me just say that I don't really know what I watched after this first episode, but spoiler warning, I loved it. And if you want to stay with me until the end of my impressions, there are going to be spoilers, obviously, but what I really want to talk about is how I felt watching it and what it reminded me of. But I want to divide this impression video in 3 parts. In the first one, I am going to talk about the director of this anime because it's kind of important. In the second one, I want to give my impressions and to talk about what this show reminded me of. And in the third part, I want to discuss, is this a magical girl show? So let's jump right into it. The first thing we have to say is that we have a person who is directing this anime. I think he's new. It seems that he is new in directing. His name is Tomohiro Furukawa, and he worked as animator and key animator in lots of different anime, especially Precure. He was key animator for some Precure movies. He worked in Fresh Precure in one episode as a director, an animator director. Um, and the main thing that really gets it is that he worked as assistant director in Yurikuma Arashi. Yurikuma Arashi is the latest work of Kunihiko Ikuhara. Ikuhara is in my opinion, he is one of the best directors when it comes to anime. And it's kind of hard to pinpoint what makes Ikuhara so great. But Ikuhara has worked on Sailor Moon back in the day. He worked in the second half of Sailor Moon R. He directed the Sailor Moon R movie, which is my favorite movie from Sailor Moon. He also directed Sailor Moon S, which is the best season. He also directed the Sailor Moon S movie. But in this movie, he didn't really have like much of creativity freedom, so that he didn't really do what he wanted to do. And so he went out of Sailor Moon. He worked with Shoujo Kakume Utena. I mean, this guy's a genius. And after that, he did lots of other works. And lately, he worked on Mawado Penguin Drum and he worked on Yurikuma Arashi. And another important thing to say, the director of Sailor Moon Crystal Season 3, Shiho Saito, she's a disciple of Ikuhara. So she has lots of Ikuhara motifs into her work. And I think that we can say the same for the director of Revue Starlight. He worked as assistant director in Yurikuma Arashi, so he worked together with Ikuhara, and he probably learned a lot from him. And I think that there were lots of Ikuhara styled things, and the way things are animated, gorgeous. And so, now jumping onto my impressions of the episode itself, I found the episode very, very good, and it had a very the episode changed its tone midway in such a with such a force, and it made me like, wow. And I think it's going to be hard to talk about it. It's going to be hard to review it without actually having images, and showing it. But I don't know how to do that, so I'm so sorry. And okay, so the episode started and we got to know the main character. The main character is a lively girl full of dreams and full of hopes, and she's very hyper, she's clumsy. So she is that type of protagonist that is, I'm not gonna say cliche, but she is a protagonist that is used in lots of different anime, and it works well. Having this type of girl as a protagonist works very well, and it worked very well for Revue Starlight. So we have this girl, we have her friend, and we follow her to the class, and we go to this school where girls learn and have classes on acting. And they dance, they sing on stage. It seems that they have like fights on stage, but it all like a theater thing. So they are actresses. And so those girls, it seems that their focus is on position 0. And I don't even know if I actually understand what position 0 is now, but I think that it's going to be developed later on in the series. I hope so. But I'm pretty sure it is. I mean, we're on the first episode only, so we're not going to understand every single concept, especially in a show like this that it seems so rich on symbolism. And I don't think that the show is going to tell us everything like in words or in explanations, but I think that it might go like the symbol route, just like Utena did, and it did it beautifully. So when we get to the class, we get to know the main character and her friend, and we get to know other girls. And I think that the way they introduced the girls, it was really smart. You know, all of them coming to the class, and we got to know them. And I think that one of the things that they did is that the all of the girls that are going to be like the main cast of the series, they have easily recognizable traits. So there's the clumsy girl, there's the intelligent girl, there's the more quiet one, there's the boyish one, there's the regal girl that is number one of the class. That's the other girl that's also very regal, but she's not really number one, and she's kind of the rival. You know, the traits are very recognizable. And it kind of reminded me of Love Live. Love Live, I think that Love Live worked. I don't know if it worked as an inspiration, but I got Love Live vibes from the designs of the characters and from, you know, using those personality traits that set the characters apart very easily. And I think obviously Love Live is not like the first show to do this. People do this in media, people do this in literature for they've been doing it for ages. And I mean, even before Christ, you know, the Greek theater. I mean, people always did this, you know, putting on easily recognizable traits in characters. And I'm not saying that they are stereotypes. And I'm not saying this is good or this is bad. It's going to depend on how those characters are going to be developed later on in the series, you know. And so this kind of reminded me of Love Live a little bit. And those characters, you know, they don't have like flashy, colorful hair or crazy hairdos. They're very simple in design. And so we need those things, especially with a big cast of eight, nine girls. I'm not sure. We need those things to look at the characters and say, okay, I recognize her. She is the sleepy one, or oh, she's the boyish one. Oh, she's the regal one. You know, we need this to be able to learn the characters right from the first episode, and then if they're going to do this, I don't know, they can develop them even further. And I hope they do this. I really hope that they do this. And I think that there's potential there. I don't know. And so when they started training, I I was a little surprised with the animation because the animation was really beautiful. And it also reminded me of another show, which is Sakura Wars. Sakura Wars is a very nice show. I watched it some years ago, and I don't remember much of it, but I remember that they were in a theater as well and they trained. And so it kind of got me back to it, you know? It kind of got me back to the theater idea. And I like a theater setting. I think it's kind of mysterious and it's kind of charming and um, it's something that draws you in so much, at least for me. And so it was interesting to see that. Um, Unfortunately, there was no song in the show as catchy as that Sakura Taisen theme song. Hashire kosoku no. I love that song so much, but the soundtrack was still very good. It was not very memorable, I feel, but it was still good. I felt that it was a good soundtrack. And so the story started moving on, and we got to know a new character that was being transferred from another school from England, I think. So it makes it even more interesting because it seems that the Revue Starlight troupe is famous all around the world, and there are schools all around the world. And this girl is a childhood friend of our main character, and I think that this is going to be very important because I mean, I don't think it's going to be very important. It is going to be very important because, well, obviously, this girl is a key point to the plot, and so the plot is going to move forward because of her and because of a promise they both did of standing in the stage together, standing in the Starlight stage together. Um, but there were lots of circumstances that took the main character to a completely different place, and she ended up on an elevator. That scene of the elevator was the first time that I looked at the show and I said, am I watching Utena here? And again, Utena is such a strong cultural force that I think that everything should draw inspiration from Utena because it's amazing. But the way it was done and the way it was animated, so Utena for me. And then when she got into the theater and like the a battle round, it got even more Utena to me because we had two girls fighting, and the fight itself, it was not really that physical or that visceral. It was more choreographed, and it was so beautiful to watch. I felt like I was watching a movie, like an animated movie, because when there is a movie, they always give lots of attention to the animation, and that's what happened. That's what happened in that fight, and I was so surprised. At the same time the fight was happening, the main girl was watching, and there was a giraffe there. And the giraffe acted like a mentor, and he was explaining to her. I'm going to use he because it has a male voice. I don't know. And in Portuguese, we don't have it, the it pronoun. So I'm not really used to using it pronoun. I'm going to try to use it because I need to work on that on my brain. So the giraffe tried to explain it to the main character what was really going on and why they were battling. And one of the girls that was battling was the her friend. The other one was like the president of the student council. I don't know if she's actually the president, but that's her personality trait. She's very responsible and such. I love her, and I love her design, and I loved seeing both of them fight. It was so nice. And the fights, you don't have to hurt the other person. The only thing you have to do is to, there's a coat that they wear, and the only thing that you have to do is to drop their coat. And it's very Utena-like as well, again, because it's not a battle of life and death or destroying or purifying someone. No, you have to do something, like specifically. Like in Utena, you had to destroy the rose of the person, and now you have to make the person drop the coat. And so the main girl just jumps out there and she wants to fight as well. And so she was actually trying to fulfill the promise she did to the other girl, or they did together, that they were going to stand on stage together. And so I felt like um, the transformation itself that she had, again, very Utena-like, but I sensed some Yuriko Arashi there as well with the makeup, and it felt very, there was like a point of machinery and industry at the same time working together, while also giving her very feminine and elegant traits with the makeup and with the clothes themselves. And so we had like the two things coming together in the transformation. It was amazing. And when she transformed, she jumped there, she started fighting the girl, she started like protecting her friend, her childhood friend, and she started fighting the other girl. And I was like, oh my god, what is she trying to do? Uh, and then at the end of the fight, she ended up winning, and she dropped the coat of the other girl. And the moment she did that, it was brilliant. The way the coat dropped and the girl just dropped holding her. I was like, no, oh my god, this is so good. And um, and then she was in position zero, and she said something like, "Okay, we're going to stand on Starlight together." But it seems to me that the point of the battles is to win. So every girl has to battle each other, and in the end only one girl will win. So it's like rivalry between girls. It's very usual in idol groups like AKB, for example, that you have senbatsu. So there's a ranking, and that's probably they're probably determining how the roles are going to be played in the show. And it's kind of confusing because the roles of past shows have been done maybe in different ways. I don't know, because the main character doesn't really seem to know what's going on, and we're confused with her as well. So I don't really know what's going on here. And so she held on position 0, but her friend was very angry at her because I think that her friend is still stuck on the idea of only one girl. And this girl is trying to break the rules and trying to stand on stage together with her friend. This is going to create lots of drama. There are going to be lots of battles and combats and duels. And so, obviously, the third thing that this show reminded me of was Utena, because it was very Utena-like, like in lots of moments. The last thing I want to talk about is this a magical girl show? Hi, I'm very confused because nowadays it's kind of hard to say what makes a show into a magical girl show. Um, in the history of magical girls, uh, we've always had like uh, ma- shows that were more traditional and shows that div- divided themselves and went into different routes from this tradition. And then we had other shows that kind of deviated and then became the tradition, just like Sailor Moon, for example. And nowadays, after Madoka, the genre got into the spotlight again, and there are lots of people trying to do magical girl like shows, and lots of people trying to rewrite what a magical girl is and trying to create other ideas of what is a magical girl. I say this because, when we're talking about magical girls, there are usually things that a magical girl show has. We have a girl with no powers at the start. This girl meets a magical being, and this magical being gives her powers, and this magical being also acts as um, what's the word when you are teaching someone? That magical thing always acts like a wise someone who will lead the way for the magical girl. And so we have like a transformation with in which she becomes kind of like an enhanced version of herself. But nowadays, when we get shows like Mouse's Sight that really praise on the idea of magical girls, but at the same time, it has nothing else apart from the title, Magical Girl, Mahou Shoujo Site, Magical Girl Site. There is no real magical girl there because, well, the website gives weapons to girls, but at the same time, those weapons can be used by anyone, not only girls. And they can be used by boys, by men, by people that have no connection to the site whatsoever. They can just pick the weapons and use them. So there's no transformation. Um, there is no one to guide the way if we don't consider the administrators. And I don't think the administrators are actually people that are trying to guide them. And but at the same time, we also have other magical girl shows back in the day, even that don't follow this, um, that don't really follow this route completely. And I think that one of the most iconic magical girl shows from history is Utena. And if we think about Utena as a magical girl, I think that we can also think about Revue Starlight as a magical girl show as well, because everything that Utena has as a magical girl show, Revue Starlight is bringing again. So I feel like it's hard to categorize, it's hard to say what a magical girl show is nowadays. Um, but I think that Revue Starlight has everything that Utena had. I'm not saying narratively speaking. I'm not saying that it's as good as Utena. I'm just talking about the first episode. But I'm talking about the magical girl aspect of Utena. It's kind of the same as Revue Starlight. Uh, Obviously, with different ideas and different goals. Because in Utana didn't really have a goal at the start, and then she started fighting and she understood that she actually had a goal there. But the girls in REVUE Starlight, they know what they're fighting for since the start, and they want that really bad as actresses. And so I feel like it can be a Metro Girl show. Do you guys agree with me? I am just going away with my thoughts, and I promise the next videos are not going to be this long about this show. I don't know, because I really wanted to give like an introduction of how I felt about after watching this first episode, because it really left a big impact on me. So I'm sorry for the long video, and I hope you guys sticked with me until the end. And if you did, I thank you very, very much. Anyways, guys, that was it. Please leave a comment with your opinions. Let's talk about so many things about REVUE Starlight, and we can keep on watching it and talking and discussing. I hope that we're here to the end of the show. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye bye.